Another big storm is coming to the United States over the next few days, and this will be very different from the storm we just had. There will still be a risk of severe weather, but this one's about to bring some heavy snowfall to areas like the Central Plains and as well as the Midwest, and there's another big shot of cold air right on the backside of the storm system as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about this storm system and why it'll be somewhat impactful. So let's begin with what's happening across the country today, beginning with the East Coast. This is the remnants of that major tornado outbreak that we just had on Friday and Saturday. That storm system brought over 66 tornadoes since Friday to the United States, two of which were EF4 tornadoes in northern Arkansas on Friday, and one of those tornadoes was near EF5 intensity at 190 mile per hour maximum sustained winds. It is still preliminary, so that could actually get upgraded. We're gonna have to wait and see. Engineers will have to investigate the damage there. It was substantial though over there in Diaz, Arkansas. We also had 22 EF2 tornadoes and as well as 7 EF3 tornadoes. It's unbelievable how many strong and intense tornadoes that we had from this particular storm system. Definitely a historic outbreak. The good news is that the majority of this is moving offshore today and we are done with this storm system, but we don't have to wait long for our next big storm because our next one's going to be coming in as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, but this one's going to be a lot different. There will be a risk of severe weather, but it will not be nearly as substantial, and there will also be a potential for heavy snowfall, and once again fire conditions are going to be returning. Now let's talk more about this next big storm that is coming to the United States, beginning with what's happening today. That storm system is now moving offshore, not really much left other than just some nicer weather returning to areas like the southeast, and notice how we have surface high pressure system building back over in the southeast today. Cold air on the backside of this trough, a little bit of snow that'll be moving through the upper Midwest throughout the morning hours, and then eventually as we go into tomorrow, we're gonna have a storm system moving right over the Rocky Mountains with heavy snowfall in the Rockies. Great for skiing conditions, some high winds as well, could even lead to some localized blizzard conditions back over in the higher elevations. Now as we go into late Tuesday night, you'll notice that we are going to have an intensifying trough in the Central Plains, and this is going to lead to some very high wind speeds as well across the central and southern plains. Though we're not really expecting any storms back over in Texas, Oklahoma, or even Kansas, we are anticipating that we will be seeing some very high winds that'll lead to more extreme fire conditions in some areas. So definitely something that we're gonna have to keep a close eye on. There's barely been any rain recently in either Texas or Oklahoma, so this is really not a good thing here over the next few days. As we go into Wednesday morning, heavy snowfall is expected back over in Wisconsin, Kansas, even back into parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. So winter storm conditions are actually in the forecast here as we go into Wednesday, and then eventually as we go into Wednesday afternoon, the storm system is moving right over the Midwest. Heavy snowfall continues in Wisconsin, Minnesota, back into Iowa, and even into Kansas City. And there will also be some severe weather as we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening across parts of the Midwest and also back into the Southeast. And we'll talk more about that here in just a second in terms of more specific details. And then as we go into Thursday morning, the storm system is really starting to weaken as it moves towards the East Coast, but a few more showers and thunderstorms will be possible. Wouldn't rule out a little bit more severe weather there back over in the mid-Atlantic region. And then as we go into Friday, we are expecting a little bit more of a quieter pattern until we go into either Saturday or Sunday. There is a chance that we see another big storm on Sunday. It is a little bit too uncertain as of right now what will happen. There's a lot of computer model discrepancies right now, not really much consistency in terms of this storm system, but the GFS is pulling out a relatively large storm that would also lead to severe weather on Sunday across parts of the Ohio Valley and back into the deep south and the southeast. Once we know more about this, though, we'll be the first to let you know, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, we will have a risk of severe weather, but it's going to be very different from the storm system we just had. And the reason why has a lot to do with the moisture and as well as the instability. But another difference that I'm going to show you here is the 500 millibar wind chart. This gives you an idea of the mid-level winds. And what we had over the past few days was a very strong southwesterly flow, and we still even have that strong southwesterly flow back along the east coast of the United States. But now that's moving out, so severe weather is done for the east coast, at least for the next few days. But as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, notice how we are going to once again have an intense storm system moving across the Central Plains and even back into the Ohio Valley. It's a 985 millibar low pressure system, which is about 10 millibars weaker than the storm system we just had, but that's still a strong storm system. But here's the difference. Again, this is not going to be nearly as favorable of an environment, mainly because of instability and moisture, but we'll talk more about that here in a second. What's very interesting, though, is that we still have a strong southwesterly flow, even in the Ohio Valley and Midwest as we go into Wednesday. Wednesday. So there's going to be a chance, I think, for maybe an isolated tornado or two here across parts of Illinois, Indiana, and back into the deep south, but definitely not a repeat of what we just saw. But if it wasn't just for this big storm system coming through the United States, we would probably be dealing with another threat here for significant severe weather. But again, one of the biggest issues that we're going to be dealing with as we go into Wednesday is going to be the amount of moisture. These are your dew points as we go into Wednesday afternoon, only in the low to mid 50s for most areas in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. This is about a 5 to 10 degree drop over what we just had Friday. So that's a big difference. The wind shear is not nearly as strong either. And then back over in the deep south, we're only dealing with dew points in the mid to upper 50s and near 60 degrees. That means there's not really a whole lot of buoyancy here, and this is not going to be nearly as favorable of an environment for severe weather. But don't get me wrong, there will be some severe weather on Wednesday, and we're going to talk more about the risk outline here in just a second. By Thursday, there could be another localized area of severe weather, mainly in the mid-Atlantic for damaging winds and even a low-end tornado risk, but I think the tornado threat is much lower even on Thursday. And then our next chance for severe weather would likely come sometime as we go into Sunday of this upcoming weekend, but even then, that doesn't look really like a slam dunk at this point. So we do have a risk of severe weather over the next few days, beginning with tomorrow, which is tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday. We do have a low-end risk of severe weather back over in southeast Nebraska and Iowa, where isolated damaging winds and isolated hail will be possible during the late evening hours. Wednesday is a little bit more interesting, but again, the risk for right now is on the relatively low side of things. We have a large marginal threat of severe weather, which, by the way, is a huge step down to what we just had over the last few days across the Midwest and also back into the deep south. Once again, the moisture is one of the biggest limiting factors here. If it wasn't for that, we'd probably be dealing with a more significant severe weather event. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a small slight risk of severe weather somewhere in here as we go into Wednesday, but nonetheless, the main concern on Wednesday will be isolated damaging winds, hail, and perhaps even a couple of tornadoes. We'll go more detail tomorrow with any new details and also go into the timing of this severe weather event, so we'll keep you posted with the latest, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. The odds of seeing more than 6 inches of snowfall is rising for parts of the Midwest and the Central Plains. Right now, up near a 50 to 70% chance back over in parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and even into Iowa. This is currently the thinking in terms of snowfall accumulation as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. There will be a large swath here of at least 2 to 4 inches of snowfall, but there will be some spots in southern Minnesota and even northern Iowa that pick up 6 to 10 inches of snow. Back into the upper peninsula of Michigan, we could even see some spots over a foot of snowfall. In northern Wisconsin, you're also going to be dealing with around 5 to 10 inches of snowfall. Definitely some really nice snowfall here late in the season. Enjoy it while it's here, because we are not going to have much more of this as we go later into the month of March and also into April. And another big concern on Tuesday and Wednesday is how high the winds are going to be and how low the humidity is going to be. This is what it looks like as we go into Wednesday evening. Winds are going to be very strong back over in eastern Oklahoma and Kansas. Wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour from no severe weather even being in this area. So definitely make sure you're hatching down trampolines and any loose lawn items that you have. As we go into Wednesday morning, those winds are very strong across the central and southern plains. Wind gusts ranging from 40 to 65 miles per hour. And even by Wednesday afternoon, we are still dealing with very high winds in Nebraska, Kansas, and Iowa. We even could see some blizzard warnings in effect for parts of Nebraska and Iowa because of the snow that we're going to see, in addition to how high the winds are going to be. And then as we go into late Wednesday, those winds are going to start to ramp up back over in the Ohio Valley around this low pressure system, and also back over into the Midwest with wind gusts ranging from 40 to 55 miles per hour. And then as we go into Thursday, those winds are starting to die down quite a bit in the Midwest and the Great Plains, but will still be on the stronger side of things even back over into parts of the Northeast. Unfortunately, there will be several days ahead in terms of the fire risk. This is what it looks like for today. Elevated and critical risks in place for the central and southern plains. We actually have an extreme risk for fires in place for Tuesday back over in West Texas, as high winds and very low humidity are in the forecast. Again, we are well below average right now for rainfall in Texas for the month of March, so definitely not something that you want to see here. And as we go into Wednesday, that risk of fires continues to stay elevated across central and west Texas, and then by Thursday and Friday, the risk will continue mainly in western Texas and even back over into parts of Oklahoma. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And as a reminder, if you want to support our page above and beyond and support what we do here, you can check out shopmaxvelocity.net. Our 1 million subscriber merch is available for a couple more weeks, including our signed hats, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, and much more, and also these handwritten cards that we're doing. These are about to sell out, so if you want to get one, now's the time to do so. And you can check this out at shopmaxvelocity.net, top link in the description below.